It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. It's the only daily boxing talk show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
Coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you listen, whenever you're watching. Hope you're having a good day or night or morning or tomorrow, or hope you're doing all right. Yeah. Today's show, she's being brought to you in a part of Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian restaurant located on beautiful St. Simons Island in Georgia. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. Find out why I go all the way to St. Simons to get a decent Italian meal. And I'm just getting over eating all of Sal's food at his restaurant with our event last week. Wish you guys could have been there. We had a lot of people there, but we'd like to have more next time. So stay tuned. We are going to do another Billy C event soon. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by, you guessed it, my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold. You can get a copy of it literally right now where you're watching or listening to the show. Just visit barnesandnoble.com or amazon.com. If you're looking to get a signed copy, don't worry about it. Just visit our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click on the book. You can't miss it. It's right there. So make sure you get a copy today, especially if you want a signed copy, But anyway, coming up on the show today, we got some stuff to talk about. First and foremost, I want to make sure that you guys understand that the big fight that's coming up in another couple of weeks. We got Triple G against Canelo. And, that is a fight that, in my opinion, it's a must-see fight. I mean, there's no question about it. It's a must-see fight. Not only do we have two young, and even though Triple G is not really young, per se. I mean, he's 35, believe it or not. In my opinion, we have two fighters that are... I'm going to say at their peak, okay? Even though Triple G has seen better days, I still believe he's what I would call at his peak. And Canelo, although he started young, has really come into his own. The end result is we have two fighters that are where they're supposed to be. They've had this parallel. And, they're finally getting in a ring together. Yes, maybe we waited a little too long for this fight to happen. Maybe this fight should have happened a little sooner. But at the end of the day, it's still happening relatively in the right time frame. And I'm looking forward to this fight. I can't express any negativity towards this fight. I mean, these two guys have been pretty civil with each other going to this fight. You know that they're both taking this fight very seriously. I doubt you're going to hear any excuses at the end of the fight. It is what it is. We haven't heard of any BS injuries or anything like that. It's going to be here in 2 weeks, and as we get closer and closer, the excitement level is coming on. Now, one thing I want to make sure that you guys understand, as far as pure boxing and boxing fans, this obviously is a must-see for the majority of the fans, because this fight was sold out relatively quickly. Now, remember, it's being held in the same venue as that other fight last week was held, which really wasn't a real fight. And that fight, by the way, was never sold out. It was never sold out. Now, granted, they did a gazillion buys, and I don't think that Triple G and Canelo will surpass that, because I'm not so sure you're going to get a crossover. But from a boxing perspective, this is the fight. And I'm excited about that fight. Joining me right now, finally, I don't know what's going on over there, is my man Sal Rocky Senecola. And Sal, as we get closer to this fight, obviously we're going to be talking more about it. But to me, this is a must-see fight, not only for boxing fans, but even for fans that like when I talk to people, they find out what I do. They always say, I used to be a boxing fan. Well, now I'm telling them, well, listen, this is a fight. If you missed Anthony Joshua fight, Klitschko, this is a fight that'll get you back into the sport. What's your thoughts on Triple G Canelo being must see in terms of a boxing matchup?
Billy, you said it best. It's a must see. This is the fight. This is going to be the fight of the year, easy. And you have two combatants who are passionate, who are dedicated, who are truly fighters, boxers, opponents, champions. They're the natural, the real thing, the real deal in their own right. And they have egos, and they have passion, and they have fire in their bellies. And this is going to be probably one of the best fights we've seen in a long time. And we've been given a lot of good fights this year, but this one I think is going to be the signature fight. And as you said, this is the kind of fight that boxing fans can return to and see. And I'm so excited. And like we have said many times before, this fight 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, it wouldn't have been a question. I would have said Triple G automatically for a multitude of reasons. However, I really feel this is a 50-50 fight going in. I still feel in my heart of hearts that Triple G is going to be the one with his hand raised in victory at the end of the fight. But it's not going to be easy, and it's going to be a great fight, and he's going to have to earn everything to do this. And you know what? Each fighter will have a mutual respect, and the fans will be given a great, great show, and they'll be just as well in their career going forward after this fight.
You know what? That's a good point, Sal, because with the way boxing is today, the landscape of the sport, and the way management, let's just blanket management in boxing, the way they try to move their fighters and protect the O's, and the networks look at the value of a fighter with the O. You're 100% correct in saying that, a loss, whoever comes, somebody's going to have to lose this fight. Unless we get a draw, right. But somebody's going to have to lose his fight, and I agree with you. I don't think that a loss is going to hurt either one of these guys in the large scope of things. However, I will add this: Canelo was so much younger than Triple G, and Triple G, he's recently stated that he feels he's got 5 more years left. Which is, he's 35. I mean, yes, fighters are in much better shape today. But that's a pretty bold statement. I think that there is some significant, although I've preached about the O not being important and stuff, I want to contradict myself here for a second, because I do believe that Triple G, I think the O is important to Triple G, especially for this fight. A lot of naysayers and people that aren't Triple G fans have doubted his skill set. And they've said things like he hasn't fought anybody, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that a win here for him is more important to clarify any doubters out there. What do you think?
I think you're right. However, I'm going to tell you something. He still has an O. And guess what? He hasn't looked tremendous. He hasn't looked like the Triple G everybody was uh, assuming they'd see when he fought world class opposition. He fought Daniel Jacobs and he fought Kell Brook. And Kell Brook probably is going to be retiring. He's got two crushed orbital bones. The first one from Triple G, which probably helped weaken the structure of his other side. Who knows? And I mean, he crushed the guy's face with a punch. I mean, that's pretty darn powerful. That's big. And the second one, Daniel Jacobs, I've seen that fight more and more. Daniel Jacobs, great fighter, great thing. But the guy came in like a beast. He was 20 pounds heavier. He looked like a light heavyweight. And Triple G did enough, and he outboxed him, and he won. He won that fight. It was close, but he still has gone against world-class opposition. These guys are world beaters, and I think you can cut him a little slack because maybe he didn't look like a one-punch Kelly that knocked somebody out and inside the first 5 rounds. Hey, guess what? The guy still won. He won the fight. He fought his heart out. He did what he had to do. Sniffles, colds, weight, whatever reason that was ailing him going into the training and everything else. I don't want to hear this. We haven't heard that. And I think it's been great behind closed doors. We don't hear he's peaked. We don't hear he's drained. We don't hear anything else like that. That's great because he's got to step up in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, and he's going to have the fight of his life. And against Canelo Alvarez, they're going to both bring out the best out of each other. And that's what rising to the occasion, that's what facing the top opposition is going to do. And you know what? Triple G is the Triple G that you've always seen and believed in. And he's going to be up for this fight, so you're going to see the real Triple G that's going to be out there. And you're going to see Canelo Alvarez at his best. That's what's so significant, that these two world-class fighters are going to face each other, and they're going to be at their very best for each other. And they're going to rise to the occasion. That's what's going to make this fight so beautiful.
You know, people are saying he lost his step. He didn't look all that great in both the fights you suggest, Kell Brook and of course, Daniel Jacobs. You know, there's been some talk from his trainer, Abel Sanchez, that, you know, they did it purposely to you know, get the Canelo fight and everything, which I don't believe. You know, the thing is I will admit, and I will also admit that I'm a Triple G fan, but I will admit that I was a little surprised that Daniel Jacobs went the distance with him. I was a little surprised that Triple G didn't finish him off, and then it actually looked like Triple G was giving Daniel Jacobs a lot of respect. You know, he does have good punching power. I'm talking about Daniel Jacobs, and he does have, you know, speed. He's got some great hand speed. But his weakness really was his chin, although he didn't really display that. Aside from the knockdown in that fight, he didn't display it. And it makes me wonder, you know, was the respect factor the main issue here? Or was it Triple G fading? And like you've said, and I said myself as well, you know, if this fight took place a year and a half ago, I wouldn't have even batted an eye. I would have picked Triple G in this fight, although I am still leaning towards Triple G. But right now it's a 50-50 fight. Canelo has fought tough opposition, and, you know, the guy is a technically sound fighter. You know, I love the matchup. And I just, you know, I can't wait for it. I've said a lot of things about Canelo and his only weakness that I see. And, you know, he hasn't really changed. I think that's going to play into Triple G's hands. But then again, you never know. If Triple G did lose a step, it's going to definitely show up against Canelo. Although from a, you know, psychological point of view, could he have not been up for the Daniel Jacobs fight? And now he is. I mean, you know, everything that's come out of the Triple G camp is that this is the fight we've waited for. This is the fight I turned pro for. This is the fight that, you know, I want more than anything. I mean, now it's up to his body to to live up to the same desire and pounding that his mind is. I mean, what's that like? Knowing that you want something really bad and just not getting it from your body.
Well, I know what he might be thinking on that level of being an older fighter when I made my comeback. I didn't relinquish to that level. I really felt my body was firing where I wanted to, and it was like I didn't miss too many steps. It was right there for me. And after all the training, and Triple G, let's say this: he's been at his peak. These are his peak years. But I will tell you, I don't think he has 3 to 5 years left. I think he's got 3 to 5 fights left at best, maybe 3. I mean, he's been in some good fights, tough wars. So I think we will see him again after this fight, most likely. But even if he decided, hey, guess what? I've had enough. I'm undefeated. If he wins this fight and he wants to walk away, and I can understand it. But I think he only has a few good top war dog fights left in him.
That's a good point. 5 fights. I mean, in today's world, 5 fights could be 5 years, Sal. I mean, I mean, really.
You know what? You're right. I remember. I think I had 5 fights inside 2 months one time.
Yeah, back in the day. I mean, they were fighting.
I mean,
way before your day.
Think I'll heal before my next fight 2 weeks?
Well, way before your day. They were fighting, every week, But speaking of Triple G and Canelo, the undercard is pretty good, too. The co-main event, Jojo Diaz is taking on Jorge Lara in the co-main event. It's a WBC title elimination fight. Jojo Diaz is a quality fighter, and he's stepping up here. He's 24-0 with 13 knockouts. He's taking on Jorge Lara, who's 29-0 with 2 draws and 21 knockouts. So that'll be a decent one. Also on the pay-per-view, we're going to see Randy, who was sidelined for injury. He's on Diego De La Hoya. Both undefeated fighters, Caballero, 20 De La Hoya, the nephew. This is a huge step up for De La Hoya. This is a guy that has not progressed. Looks very good, not so much against decent or upper-level opposition. I think that. And then opening the pay-per-view broadcast, Blue Chip Martin, Ryan Blue Chip Martin, undefeated, 19-0. He used to be under the banner of Rock Nation, or actually, I'm sorry, he used to be under 50 Cent. So I guess now he's with Golden Boy. He's 19-0 with 11 knockouts. I've gotten to see him fight ringside a couple of times. He's very talented, and he's taken on Francisco Rojo, who's 20-2. Another decent matchup. I mean, are they pay-per-view worthy fights that are on this card? No, not in my opinion, Sal. They're not. But they are good matchups. To me, they're like HBO After Dark or Showbox Next Generation level fights. Little above ESPN, not HBO or Showtime Championship level. Definitely not pay-per-view, but they are on the pay-per-view card. I would have liked to have seen a couple of A fighters against A fighters on this card as a for the pay-per-view. I really think they Golden Boy fell a little short with this. However, I do think they're competitive fights. What's your thoughts? Actually, hold that thought, because I gotta hold another thought. I didn't realize.
It wants to get out of my head. I gotta hold it.
I'm surprised you didn't. I'm surprised you didn't warn me here. But we got to take a short break. So hold that thought, and remember, the thought is the undercard. So we'll be back in 2.
Billy C. will be right back.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms, and if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. Call Tax 10,000 at 800-773-4604.
This is important news for women using birth control medications and devices. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with a pseudotumor after using one of these birth control drugs or devices, you may be eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Contact the law firm of Davis & Crump right now if you or a loved one have used one of these birth control medications or devices and were diagnosed with a pseudotumor to see if you are eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call now. Operators are standing by.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
If you're over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days, I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. A free book to help you maximize your retirement income from television host and three-time author Josh Melberg has been released. This book reveals little-known truths about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now because we are about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known secrets we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity. Call 800-493-9652 now, and you'll receive a free copy of Josh Melberg's book, Next Gen Annuity Strategies Revealed. As a bonus, we'll also send you the #1 mistakes retirees are making with their investments today, and a free DVD on how you can get up to 33% more income in retirement. Call 800-493-9652 to have your free information kit rushed to your door. Again, that's 800-493-9652.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening and watching the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And we know that you can get this show in a lot of different ways. Television, radio, stream, YouTube, podcast. But if you're watching now, if you're watching live, or if you're watching Facebook, I forgot, or we are simulcasting on Facebook Live, don't forget that the TV version, the version that goes up to the television networks, we put up on YouTube. So if you're looking to get the TV version, check it out, because it's definitely enhanced, and you might like it better than some of the other ways to watch this show. But anyway, Sal, I'm sitting here in a shirt and like a light jacket. It's freezing up here. What's I'm not kidding you, man. I'm not kidding you. It is literally. Last night I got into the mid to upper 40s, when I left St. Simon's last week, I was like, man, I don't know how the last words I was saying is, man, I don't know how you guys live here with all this humidity. I come back to freezing cold, and you always say, oh, I miss it. I wish, send me some snow. You say all that BS. Let me tell you something. It's drastic when it goes from hot, humid to this. I mean, it's like we don't have any seasons anymore. I'm hoping it warms up a little bit.
Yeah.
They're already telling me
they're in your body.
Well, they're already telling me it's time to take the boat out. I'm like, time to take the boat out. I was on it 5 times this year, But anyway, so what was your thoughts just before we went to break? What's your thoughts on the undercard, the pay-per-view undercard? I mean, they are competitive fights. I mean, every one of them is competitive, but are they pay-per-view worthy?
Well, here's the thing, Bill. In my heart of hearts, I'm telling you this. They're good competitive fights, but I've never, ever, ever, in the past, the present, or in the future, will worry about buying a pay-per-view event for the undercard. I wouldn't even care about that. I mean, I'd love to see good competitive fights. Don't get me wrong. It's great. I'm buying a pay-per-view for the main event. I'm buying a pay-per-view worthy fight to see the main event. That's all I care about. I'm just saying, as a customer, as a paying customer, that's the trigger. Half these guys out here have no other clue of who all these other secondary, tertiary fighters are. They're not significant enough for them to know, hey, guess what? I'm buying the Canelo Alvarez Triple G fight. So for appealing to the masses, that's all you got to do is get the main event to be appealing, to be a purchase fight. Now, as specialists in boxing analysts as we are, yes, we want to see a credible undercard. But for the layman, then they don't even know half the undercard or what the names are. If they recognize a name on the undercard, it happens to be a good fight, it's a bonus. But they're buying the fight for the Canelo Alvarez Triple G fight.
No, there's no doubt in that. And all the, every time you talk to a network or whatever, the truth of the matter is that's what they say. The formula says that people are only buying it for the main event. But I can't help it, and we do this a lot on the show, but I can't help but go back and remember some of the pay-per-view cards that were around in the 80s and early 90s. I mean, any one of the fights that you saw could have been the main event pay-per-view. And I think that, if you're going to ask a fan, to shell out, $50 or whatever, I think the fight should all be, an A fighter versus an A fighter, a substantial fight, a meaningful fight. I mean, don't get me wrong; these are all competitive fights. Something we didn't see last week, but I agree with you, but I would like to see a little better. You know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean, and you have a great point. But I also think this is an optimum time for these lesser-known fighters to be showcased on a stellar card like this, to be part of a big event, a big night. And this is their time to shine because they're going to be in front of a world audience. And you know what? If I like something I see out of one fighter, I'm going to become a fan. And that's what these guys could do. They're building a fan base. They're being showcased. They're going to let themselves be known to the world right now. So that's why they should put on a great fight. They should be competitive fights. And guess what? They'll be recognized next time they're on to be even a more anticipated, highly anticipated fighter to see in the future if they do well.
Yeah, well, you know what? They're good fights. I just wish they were a little better. Some quotes: Canelo Alvarez and both Triple J and Canelo Alvarez are taking this fight very seriously. No time for BS smack talk. Canelo says, "I know what I got in front of me. I know he's a strong fighter. He's the most dangerous opponent of my career, but I'm ready for him and what's next. That's why we're prepared, and we also want to give the fans a beautiful fight. This fight's for you. This fight's for all the fans who have been asking for it. We know that in fights it takes two to tango. I'm ready, and you know what you'll get from me. Let's hope he brings it as well." What a true statement. I mean, some of it is some of it is the same, same BS. It's a fight you want, blah blah blah. The sale. But I think that the line that says it all is it takes two to tango, and not just in the fight, but fights. And this is why I was always critical of who. When you want to cement a legacy, you need to have the right dance partner, and you need to create legacy-type fights. Muhammad Ali was, he's down in history as one of the greatest, but look at who he had to dance with. Foreman and Frazier and Kenny Norton, and the list goes on and on. Same thing. Every great fighter had the right fighters to fight, and it justified fighting more than once. Well, Triple G and Canelo, they may have that, Sal.
I think you're right. This is going to cement them. I mean, look at what you just suggested. We're talking about heavyweights that fought 40 and 50 years ago, and we still, to this day, can recall some of those fights, and they were tremendous fights. They were competitive fights. And, I mean, those are the fighters, it's like I said I tried to say, Bobby Ches helped me finish that line. When we used to train in Costello's gym in Patterson, New Jersey, for some of our amateurs and for our professional fights, Bobby Ches and I would be jumping rope in front of this mirror or shadow boxing, and there was a saying on the wall. It said, "Fights that come easy are much like the morning dew, and soon will vanish from a man's memory. But those fights that are earned and built on blood, sweat, and tears are the true memories that will lead to a fighter's career in succeeding and being a success. Such is the price for success." Something like that. And Bobby helped me finish it off a little better last week. But that's the true thing. We have the memorable fights that took place 50 years ago, and you and I can talk about them and recall them like we just saw them last week. That's how much of an impact and impression they made. But the truth of the matter is, this fight may have that same significance because it's going to be something I believe, that we're going to talk about for years.
Triple G said Canelo has looked good and he's looked strong in his last fights. That is why we have worked so hard in this training camp. We've worked on new things. This is my biggest fight. I worked hard to become the champion of the world. I worked hard with Abel, and I'm working hard with Abel to stay champion of the world. I've always wondered when fighters start working on new things for big fights. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. The only thing that, he needed to work on, in my opinion, and Dax made a great point about this several weeks back, but it always seems that they do something in their training that ends up, Triple G coming down with a cold or getting sick or not being 100%. Yes. You know what I mean? So that's the only thing I would work on. But changing anything else, working on new things, maybe just game plan related, but I hope that's what he means. But you never can read too deep. Both of these guys have had somewhat of a closed camp. They have opened it up a little bit for the media, but for the most part, it's been on the hush-hush, which I like, Sal.
I hear it, and me too. Like I said, I cannot believe, for whatever instance, we've heard all the times before Triple G has got into a fight. It's almost like a replay. Push that button, boom. Well, he's looking a little pale. He's looking a little pasty. He's fatigued. He's got the sniffles. I don't know how long we put up with that, but yeah, keep it behind closed doors, and let's see what happens. And like I said, let these two combatants get into the ring, and may the best man win. And I want to hear that they're coming along in their training camps the way they're suggested and expected to.
I don't see why not, to be honest with you. But I just can't wait to see this fight. It's a must-see fight for more than just diehard boxing fans, and I certainly hope that it does well with the pay-per-view. But at the end of the day, all I care about is watching a great fight, and I'm pretty sure, I'm positive we're going to get one. Two pros going at it. Hey, listen, we're going to take a short break right now, and we're scheduled to get the infamous Jeremy C. on. Now, if you recall, Sal, Jeremy C. made some pretty bold predictions on this show, so we're going to talk to him. And then after that, you remember Hall of Famer Freddy Mills?
Yeah, sure do.
Former world champion. This guy, there's a new book coming out to suggest that Freddie Mills was a serial killer. We're going to talk about that. Alex Papali sent me an update on this, and amazing stuff. So hold those thoughts. We will be back in 2. So don't go anywhere. You know what I'm talking about? Don't go anywhere.
Know what you're talking about.
We'll be back.
He's got a refill of coffee.
We'll be back in 2.
Billy C will be right back.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
If you or a loved one have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement and suffered infection, chronic pain, mesh migration, mesh failure, organ damage, or needed additional surgery, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your medical expenses. Your voice deserves to be heard. Call the Rely On Group to be connected with a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. Call 800-715-4869. That's 800-715-4869.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us today. And, Jeremy C., who, is in his ghetto studio right now and is forgetting to turn on his video, made some bold statements leading up to the farce of what we call Conor McGregor against Floyd Mayweather. And, he was guaranteeing some stuff. Well, it didn't work out. And at least he's man enough to come on the show and take his lumps. I believe he predicted that Conor McGregor was going to knock out Floyd Mayweather in the second round. How you feeling about that now, Jeremy?
First of all, the infamous Jeremy C. He says, now that I'm done with the boxing prediction game, I'm moving over to vodka, the infamous vodka. It's coming out in June, so yeah.
Hey, you know what? Sal, I've seen a lot of shows where it's like the whodunit, the guy. Did he kill him? Did he not kill him? And you see the interview of a guy, and he's kind of in a room, sort of the way Jeremy is right now. I don't know, Jeremy, are you behind bars or what? I mean, you got that. I don't think your sweatshirt is zipped up enough. I don't think that.
I'm in an undisclosed location.
Yeah, I see that. Why don't you zip your sweatshirt a little tighter? Is it as cold by you as it is here? Jesus. What happened?
I had to go into hiding for a little while. The Billy C fans have been following me around, harassing me about my prediction. I just, I don't know, Bill. I don't know if I could take this kind of pressure.
Hey, I'll tell you, you did buy it. I was proud of you for buying it, at least to watch it. What was your professional analysis of the fight?
You know what? I thought it was great. I thought it was fun. You know what I mean? It's like, was it the greatest boxing match ever? No. Nobody thought it was going to be. But it was fun. It was fun to see McGregor come out and, take a couple rounds from him. Was it pre-planned by Floyd? Probably, but whatever. He gave him a couple good shots. I wasn't surprised he tired when he did. Everybody kind of knew that was going to happen. I think he did better than most of the boxing pundits thought he was going to do. Is he ever going to box again? I don't know. No. I kind of hope he does, and I hope he fights a couple bums to get used to it, and then take it from there.
Sal, we missed Jeremy down at our event.
We did, Jeremy.
But I will tell you this: he would have been right at home, right? I mean, the majority of the people there were rooting for McGregor. I mean, there was no doubt that McGregor seemed to be the draw for this fight.
He was. He was the driver. He was the drawer. He was Well, like I said, Mayweather has his fan base, and he's got the ability to draw a lot of fans to his fights, and that's great. But we just got that number compounded by the MMA crowd crossing over and watching a boxing match, and everybody rooting for Conor McGregor. And but I'll tell you what, the Conor McGregor I saw going to the boxing ring, the guy should never put on another set of boxing gloves in his life.
Hey, Jeremy, I can't help. I'm looking at the background, and all I could think of is the Kool-Aid guy. Oh yeah,
he's jumping through.
Coming crashing through. Like all of a sudden he comes crashing through.
I'm camping, Sal.
Yeah.
I lost so much money on that fight. I had to sell my house. I'm camping. I'm in the woods right now. It's not good.
Is that your blue screen?
This is a green screen. Yes. So coming soon to Jeremy's camera feed. Amazing backgrounds. It's just not there yet because my lighting is terrible.
I like the potential though. I see what it's
going. No, it's gonna be good. One day, maybe like 6 months. You know what? I wish Billy would kind of increase the budget for sets around here.
Whoa.
It's like he sends me this. It's not even a real green screen. It's from his bed, I think.
Hey, listen, I told you that we already increased it. You're up to $3 a year now. Now, how much more do you need? Come on. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, so he's got me broadcast Studio B, which is a tent in Billy's backyard. It's great. Thanks, Bill.
Hey, I tell you though, I was telling Sal when I left St. Simon's last week, it was 90 degrees, hazy, hot, and humid. It's freezing up here, man. I mean, literally, it was down.
Wear a sweater.
I got a shirt. I got a heavy, like a light jacket on, man. It's pretty bad. But I tell you, I was glad that you even had some interest in the fight. Did you see the other fights, or were you just watching?
I did. I watched the whole. I watched basically the whole thing. I did. I was disappointed with Tank. He looked like crap, and I was kind of excited to watch him. I've seen some clips of him. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and whatever I was watching on Showtime is over and some replay of Showbox is on, and I saw Tank beating the crap out of somebody, and I was like, damn, this kid's pretty hot. I like this. Not hot like,
Yeah, be careful.
But I was disappointed. I know they said he wasn't feeling well. He had a cold. But I think he's kind of badass. I kind of like watching him. Not that night, but yeah, I did. I watched the whole thing. I watched way too much, Bill. I even woke up at 3 a.m. to watch the press conference afterwards when McGregor came out all hammered.
You know why that is? Because you spent the money and you're like, damn it, I'm getting my money's worth,
Oh, yeah. $100? I'm going to watch it 6 times.
I know. Hey, coaches mentioned in a fight that was announced, I guess, or in the works, Katie Taylor, an up-and-coming boxer. She's proven. I mean, had a great amateur career. And they're going to do another what they call crossover fight against MMA fighter Holly Holm. And they're talking about this as another crossover. But there's a big difference between McGregor crossing over and fighting Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather was 49-0 going into that fight. Conor McGregor never boxed in his life. Holly Holm was a 2-division world champion in boxing before she switched over to MMA. So it's totally different. And there's a lot of talk about a continuation of crossover. I, for one, don't think that we should do it. It's 2 different sports, and I think it should stay that way. Being a novice for both sports, Jeremy, what do you think? They should continue with the crossover?
You know what? Wait, the only way it's fair to do a crossover is if every other match is in the octagon, right? I mean, you got to go to the other side, too. That'll never happen.
No, that has happened. And the fighters.
Are you going to get a big name?
Big Ray Mercer came up big with a first-round knockout when he.
Did he really? Yeah. Well, shows what I know. That's why Billy pays me to produce stuff, not talk about sport. You want me to talk about golf next?
God, please don't. Please don't. I mean, that's
talking golf with Jeremy C.
That's it. But anyway, I'm glad that you watched it, and I'm glad you're willing to take the lumps because you were pretty bold.
You guys really don't think that Conor showed any promise to where if he got a real boxing trainer and somebody taught him how to do some defense, you don't think he could get in there and kick some ass?
No.
Really? You saw no potential?
Well, you know what? It takes years to get his conditioning to be where it should be and get the rhythm of fighting. And when I say years, I mean he could do it 6 months and a year or whatever the heck. But the bottom line is he's got a different his mindset. It's a different world, and I don't know if he can sustain a level or achieve or attain that level to get into the ring. I mean, he fought a Mayweather who was not at his best Mayweather. I'm
sure,
telling
of course.
You, Mayweather would have gotten beat by many, many welterweights that night, including Kell Brook. I don't know if he's ever going to fight welterweight again. But I mean, you look at Keith Thurman, you look at all these other guys out there that have just been on the front page lately. I don't think Mayweather would have gotten past at least 5 top welterweights or junior middleweights. And the bottom line is, this guy, yes, Mayweather gives away his first 3 rounds usually in any fight because he assesses his opponent. He's a very smart fighter.
Yeah.
And he wants to see and have his opponent's weaknesses revealed, and he's going to dissect and use his intellect, and he's going to use the first 3 rounds to assess all that, and then he's going to come on like he did. He won every round after the 3rd round.
Well, I agree with you, Jeremy. I think that Conor McGregor did surpass expectations, at least as far as I'm concerned.
Sure.
He showed no defense. His hands were down the whole time. He showed no punching power at all. I mean, we thought that this guy was gonna, have a chance because of his punching power, which he doesn't even know how to deliver a punch in boxing, so he wasn't even getting the full power that maybe he has. He had no footwork, nothing, no conditioning, like Sal said, because he trains for a different thing. However, all those negatives, he did have one positive, and that was his jab seemed to hit Floyd Mayweather at will. And if his corner and himself knew anything about the sport of boxing, they would have realized and they would have made the adjustment after that 2nd round. Because listen, going into the 7th round, after 6 rounds were completed, on my scorecard, and then I stopped scoring it, we're even. It was 3 rounds apiece. The first 3 rounds, I thought that Conor McGregor won, and he won it with the jab. If I was Team McGregor, I would have said, forget our game plan, whatever it may have been. I would have implemented a new game plan on the fly and would have tried to last 12 rounds with that snapping jab and moving a little bit. Floyd couldn't
try to win by decision.
Well, he would have, because Floyd didn't have an answer. Floyd was getting hit, wasn't just being grazed. Floyd was being hit square in the center of his face with those jabs. He couldn't get out of the way of it. Now, I'm not suggesting that Conor McGregor had such a fast, snappy jab that Floyd couldn't do anything with it, but the awkwardness of Conor McGregor's delivery of his jab and the fact that he was a southpaw, I think clearly was giving Floyd trouble. It wasn't until Conor McGregor tried to, muscle Floyd when Floyd was able to stand in the pocket and score. If Conor McGregor would have just tried to sneak and steal a win with that jab, I think he had a better chance. But as the fight wore on and he tried to land substantial punches to hurt Floyd, Floyd was able to counter him and eventually put him away. So I do think that he had a chance at that. So
here's a question, Bill. Do you think the biggest mistake that McGregor made was not hiring a professional boxing coach to lead his team and to use his UFC guys?
Yeah, I think he definitely should have brought in,
or at least brought somebody on. I mean, maybe not to head the whole thing up, but at least brought him on, right?
Exactly. No, I agree. I mean, he should have definitely brought in somebody. He claimed the loyalty to his team and all of that, but
sure.
I think that he clearly should have brought in someone else. Any more questions from you, Jeremy?
I'm surprised he didn't. In fact, there's no excuse for that. You have to. You're in a boxing arena. You have to bring in.
You know what? It's like his guys are great. His guys are great for what they do. But you know what? If he was going to play quarterback in the NFL, he would have brought in a coach from the NFL. Whatever. Do you think he's going to fight Paulie? Paulie's trying to get a payday. Paulie's looking for red panty night.
Paulie is, I just wish these guys, when they went away, we do the blast from the past here once a week.
Don't ever do him, please.
No.
Don't ever let him get a blast.
No.
He needs a blast right in the face. Somebody sew his mouth shut. Every time he opens his mouth, I want to jump off a bridge. Go ahead, Bill. Sorry for interrupting you on your show. I'm Billy C. You're not.
My point is that when we do these blasts, a lot of things that we see is generally, these fighters that called it quits and never came back. That's clearly not the case today. I mean, he's got Paulie Malignaggi is a really good example. You know, he said this was my last fight 150,000 times. You know, he's such a nanny, a Fran Drescher. I can't stand his voice. He's a knowledgeable guy.
Me too.
Oh man!
Every time he talks.
No, that broadcast team, with the exception of Al Burns, and Paulie knows his stuff, so it's not like he's not saying something that isn't right. But I just can't stand the delivery and that Mario Ronaldo. Oh my God, I want to douse myself with gasoline and one of your 9 packs of cigarettes you smoke a day, Jeremy. You know, I mean, it's bad.
You nailed it, man. Paulie sounds like Fran Drescher on coke.
Yeah. I know. Well, what about his
Shut up,
eyes?
Paulie.
His eyes are all bulging out like he did some coke. But
hey, Bill, remember when I got it so that Golden Boy wouldn't let you talk to any of their people because I talked so much smack about what's his name over there and his tights?
Yeah,
maybe we'll do the same thing with Paulie.
Yeah, when you had
Let's piss some people off.
Well, you had to remember with the pictures. You analyzed the pictures. These are real. You know, and then when I finally got it clean, you said, "Oh no, it's all fixed." He wasn't.
Yeah, and then I said he was doing drugs or something.
No, they were saying he was high, and you said, "Nope." They finally found out he was not high on cocaine. He wasn't. It was heroin. He was on heroin. I was like, "Oh God, Jeremy, stop." But
screw him too.
Anyway, well, listen, Jeremy, I appreciate you taking the time.
You got it, man. Anytime.
We're going to actually talk some more boxing here, but hey, good luck with the camp out, man. It's
Well, look, dedication. Billy said he wants me on today. I'm out camping. I brought my microphone, my computer, everything, so that I could do this. That's all, Bill.
Well, I think the hot dogs are burning. There's some smoke behind you. Either that or that's it.
Look, I got some camp snacks.
Yeah.
We're here. We're good.
Jeremy, I'll talk to you later, my man.
Have a good one, guys.
All right, take care, Jeremy. Jeremy C., the infamous Jeremy C., joining us, Sal. Good stuff. Yeah. Hey, so before we went to break, I was asking you about Freddie Mills, former Sun writer. His name is Michael Litchfield. Was a Sun crime reporter back in the 60s, and he had just put a new book out. And in the book, he's claiming that Freddie Mills was a serial killer. He says it took over 50 years for him to tell this story because of legal issues, but just to get you caught up, apparently in the early 60s, there was a string of murders that went on that they called, and they never caught the guy, and they called it Jack the Stripper. For his habit of stripping his victims and dumping their bodies. The first woman that was found was a woman named Hannah Tailford. Now, all of the women that were murdered were prostitutes. And this was a 30-year-old woman. She was found in an alley in 1964. She was a prostitute. She had been strangled. Several of her teeth had been knocked out, and her underwear was shoved down her throat. Then in April of that year, this was February of 64, in April of that year, Irene Lockwood was 25, found in the streets again, and they finally said, hey, this is a serial killer at work. Several weeks later, Helen Bartholomew, 22, was also found strangled in an alley near a river. Then they found Mary Fleming, 30 years old. Her body was arranged in a way. So it all led to, another victim, 21-year-old Francine Brown, in 1964. They find all these women. The last one was Bridget O'Hara, 27-year-old, found in West London in 1965. As they started to, research this and investigate it, according to Michael Litchfield, they kind of pointed to Freddie Mills, and there was a chief police superintendent. His last name was DuRose. He was a Freemason, as was Freddie Mills, and according to Mitch Litchfield, Mills confessed to DuRose, saying that he was indeed Jack the Stripper murderer, and made a deal with DuRose to give himself up, but he wanted to get all his affairs in order first. And then this was where it takes a little twist, according to Litchfield. he hired some people to murder him, Freddie Mills, and ultimately they found Freddie Mills murdered, where they called it a suicide, in his car, shot in 1965 at 46 years old. What's your thoughts on this whole story? I mean, Freddie Mills was basically a hero in England, former world champion, and never was convicted, never even arrested for this crime. Ultimately, if Litchfield is correct, hired some buddies of his to whack him, and they made it look like a suicide. What's your thoughts about this? Obviously, he's selling his book. It's coming out, the whole story. But what's your thoughts on this with tying a guy that was so successful, not only in the ring, but as a hero in England, all of a sudden being depicted as a serial killer, not just a murderer, a serial killer? What's your thoughts?
Well, talk about the dark side. I mean, wow. That's a rude awakening for a lot of people, and except the victims, unfortunately. But I'll tell you what, I don't know. That's devastating. I mean, that's crazy. I don't know. We don't know what one has in their heart or mind, and it's a shame if that story is true. But at least on a positive note, they would have realized or found who was behind the serial kills. And I don't know. That's just wow. That's a bizarre story, a bizarre scenario.
It is. I got a couple.
The only serial killer I ever really knew was my ex-wife. Every time she went to the cupboard, I saw a box of cereal ripped in shreds. I had to get to the cereal.
I was going to say the only serial killer I know was Tony the Tiger, but anyway, wow. I got a couple of emails. First one is from my man Johnston. You could catch Johnson. He writes. He's got a column up on BillyCBoxing.com, and he just wanted to fill us in on some fights that were going to be taking place on Sky Sports tonight. He says, first and foremost, hey, Billy C and Sal, sounds like you guys had a great weekend. I hope to be down next time with the family. Now, he's from England, and he's planning on making a trip here to the States next year. So hopefully we will be doing something around that same time. He says we have some great boxing on Sky Sports tonight at historic York Hall. That's a place I would love to go to. They have such great fights there. He says I will be enjoying these fights. I'm hoping to be ringside. He says this is being promoted by Matchroom and just some fights that are on here. Matchroom likes to showcase their young talent. Joe Cordina is a super featherweight. He's on the card, 3-0 with 3 knockouts. Lawrence Okoli, cruiserweight, 4-0, 4 knockouts. Connor Benn, junior welterweight, 7-0, 5 knockouts. Ted Cheeseman, he's a welterweight, 9-0, 7 knockouts. And Joshua Butassi, a light heavyweight, at 1-0 with a knockout. So there's some other young fighters that Matchroom has that won't be on the card. 8-0 Isaac Chamberlain, who's a cruiserweight, Josh Kelly, a welterweight, 3-0, and Reese Bellotti, who's a featherweight, 10-0. He says, Bellotti's my pick to be a future star. I'm also looking for an Oakley-Chamberlain rivalry. One of these twos will lose the O very soon. They already want to fight each other. I believe the one that loses will become a better fighter. Look no further than DeGal Groves. He says, Matt does have some excellent fighters with a lot of potential. I'm just curious to know what you think of these prospects. The potential to become, first and foremost, to be honest with you, Johnston, I'm not familiar with any of the fighters, and I'm sure you aren't either, Sal, but and maybe you are, but I haven't had a chance to see any of them. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to see any of them. They all look promising. One thing I always admire, specifically about the fighters over in England, Johnston, 2 undefeated cruiserweights in Lawrence Oakley, who's 0 with 4 knockouts, and 8-0 with 3 knockouts, Isaac Chamberlain, both cruiserweights. He says they want each other already. This is the part of boxing that takes place outside the United States. You don't see that here in the States, Sal. You don't see 2 young fighters that are that are getting fights and are staying busy, you never see them want to fight each other and really fight each other. You might hear them say, I want to, but they never do. It's something that the Brits do on a regular basis, and it's what I respect the most. What's your thoughts on two young fighters that seemingly are heading upward, wanting to fight each other at a young age and a young point in their careers?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a test for themselves to look in the mirror and say, hey, you know, they both want bragging rights, and I think it's a big step. And you know, other than wanting to protect their and wanting to continue on a path that they don't have to have one guaranteed getting a victory and one guaranteed having a loss. I think it says a lot about their confidence and about their testing themselves and challenging themselves. I think it's great. I think it's beautiful. And you know, let's face it. I mean, a fighter who's a prospect, yeah, he could be not like a milk-fed veal, it's a bad analogy, but I mean, he's got to be brought along carefully. And you want to give him opposition, you know, maybe his first or second fight that he has a little confidence, you see what he has in him, and you constantly test him, you challenge him. But for two undefeated fighters at this young stage saying, hey, we want to face each other, we want to fight each other, we want bragging rights, I think that's great. I think it's significant. And I think, again, if these guys continue, no matter who wins, if they continue on a progressively steady diet and pace of challenging themselves, I don't think at this early stage in their career a loss will be significantly the end of their career. It won't be. It'll be just as good to learn from. And I think it's a great idea, a great challenge, and I'll look forward to seeing this.
See, the thing that I like the most, and first of all, I hope I will. Thanks for the email, Johnston. I will look into these guys, and I hope that the cruiserweights, Oakley and Chamberlain, both become stars, because I think we need the cruiserweight division to blossom, yes, especially here in the States. But the one thing that I really admire, and it's something that, you know, we here in the States have become so politically correct that we don't really nurture the rivalries the way they do in England. And I think that the sport needs those rivalries. And in this case, where you have two young, undefeated cruiserweights creating a rivalry, I think it's good. And I agree with you 100%. In no way, shape, or form does that ruin their careers. Hey, listen, we're going to take a short break. If they get the loss, I meant. We're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we got some more news to talk about. I got another email. All of that coming up in 2.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
This is important news for women using birth control medications and devices. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with a pseudotumor after using one of these birth control drugs or devices, you may be eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Contact the law firm of Davis & Crump right now if you or a loved one have used one of these birth control medications or devices and were diagnosed with a pseudotumor to see if you are eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call now. Operators are standing by.
If you're over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days, I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. A free book to help you maximize your retirement income from television host and 3-time author Josh Melberg has been released. This book reveals little-known truths about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now, because we are about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known secrets we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity. Call 800-493-9652 now, and you'll receive a free copy of Josh Melberg's book, Next Gen Annuity Strategies Revealed. As a bonus, we'll also send you the #1 mistakes retirees are making with their investments today, and a free DVD on how you can get up to 33% more income in retirement. Call 800-493-9652 to have your free information kit rushed to your door. Again, that's 800-493-9652.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms, and if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. Call Tax 10,000 at 800-773-4604.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And just before we went to break, we read an email, and I got another one that I wanted to read. But first, I wanted to give you guys an update. College football season started, and we're going to keep you up to date on football scores, college football, and, of course, NFL football, which starts in another week. And when the Major League Baseball gets into the playoffs, we'll talk about those as well. But over in at least the top 25 in college football is what I'll keep you up to date on. There's so many college football games, but top 25. Number 2, ranked Ohio State, beat up on Indiana last night, 49-21. And number 10, ranked Oklahoma State, slapped around Tulsa, 59-24. So a couple of top 25 football games that took place in the college ranks last night. One last email. This is from my man Mitch. What are you doing, Sal? I got to mute you, man. You're making a lot of noise here. But we got another email. This is from Mitch. He says, did you guys catch the Sergey Devinchenko versus Torino Johnson fight? Johnson took a Lacey versus Calzaghe type beating, and I wonder what he'll have for his next fight. He's got a couple other comments here, but first I'll give you my thoughts on that. I did see it. Obviously, I didn't see it live, but I watched the replay. And Devinchenko is a young gun. And Torino Johnson, this is a guy that, when he fought Curtis Stevens, I had all kinds of high hopes for him. But he certainly has seemed to go downhill since then. And Sal, when you do take a beating like that, whether you come back in your next fight and feel well or train and feel no ramifications from it, I don't know if you don't lose something when you're in a war like that in the ring. And when you do come back, you're never the same. Johnson has been in 2 fights just like that. What kind of toll does that take on your body?
Well, it does. You've got to be very careful. You stress the body, you rest the body, and you have to make sure that, before you re-stress it, that it has recovered sufficiently. And, that's the formula. There's no ways to get around it. You keep the body going through wear and tear. Eventually it's going to get to a level where it just doesn't come back anymore. So, you have to be able to recover in between. And, it's something that you should not discard, take lightly.
No, it definitely takes your toll. Takes a toll on your body. So.
And emotionally too. You know these things are ailing you. You know these things aren't keeping you, and you try to block out the pain and everything else. But like I said, it's just one of those things. You should recover.
His next point on the email is Urslandi Lara says he's going to put on a show in October 14th on Showtime. He says, yeah, right. Now, the reason why he says, yeah, right, is because Urslandi Lara always says that and is such a defensive, safety-first type of a fighter. It's a good point because, some of the people that follow the sport today are trying to suggest that boxing has evolved into safety first, and that's the way boxing is now, et cetera, et cetera. And although that might be a smart move for a fighter, what it loses is the excitement level. And, listen, if you're the guy in the ring and you can fight a fight and come out unscathed and make your money and do all those things, that's great. But if the fans aren't going to want to watch you again, and, this is kind of what's happened to Lara. Same thing with Guillermo Rigondeaux. These guys are extremely good defensively, tacticians, and the end result is the ratings become low, so therefore the networks don't want them. They have a hard time finding fights because when they're trying to, negotiate a fight, and you bring up one of the names to a network, they're like, oh, geez, that last fight wasn't exciting. I mean, where do you draw the line? The truth of the matter is safety first for a fighter is great for the fighter, and you can never blame a fighter for wanting to do that, to, think ahead, think of the future. But, on the other hand, boxing is entertainment, unfortunately, at the two fighters' expense. Maybe fighters that are thinking safety first should consider going into another sport because, what we're going to end up with is a sport that is going to continue to lose fans. I think one of the reasons that MMA has picked up so many fans, even though there are times where they're leg locked on the canvas and no action per se is happening, because they're shorter fights and because at times they're brutal, the fan base likes that. We haven't seen the sport long enough to have the stats and results of testing and stuff, but I'm sure, I'd bet my last dollar that it's going to come out that MMA is just as dangerous for the fighters as is boxing. And, where do you draw the line? I mean, do we lower the pool of fighters? Do we make sure that they understand the risks? I mean, when does a fighter have to perform for the fan, or do they perform for themselves? I mean, what's your view on this whole thing? You were a go-at-you kind of a fighter, and you're always saying price versus the prize, et cetera, but where's the line drawn, Sal?
Well, you said something very, very delicate on so many levels because, boxing, as I was first introduced to boxing, and, part of it was, who's the toughest man out there? Who could take a shot? And, early on in my career, you can't hurt me. And, you get a little bit in your head, but that's part of it. Hey, I'm tough. I'm going to dish it back. As you mature and you realize, you don't have as many headaches, you're going to move your head. So, those are natural. And when you incorporate your ability to block a punch, to roll, to counter, and you become a complete fighter. Look to avoid punches at all risk and just try to hit or not be hidden. It's still an art of boxing. It's still, Floyd Mayweather introduction to the world as far as, hey, safety first. But, I can't down a fighter for that. I can't, because, like I said, it does take away some of the excitement that we are used to seeing from the old days of Marvin Hagler and Tommy Hearns. Those days are going to be dissipating if every fighter goes in the ring safety first. But, I mean, it's just how this sport has evolved, and I think we're going to still see a combination of both going forward. We're going to see those pit bulls out there, and that's why styles make fights. We're going to see the fancy Dan boxers, as they're called, that will slip punches, will just hit and be able to score, and we're going to see the sluggers that are punchers. So even though there is a change, really nothing in the end is going to change. And I think, if they could find a way to take a picture an MRI of a fighter's brain to see where it is, and on every year of his anniversary, have a physical, have that same thing done, and see how the picture is formulating or how it compares to the original. I think it's a consultation time when a doctor says, hey, this is what's happening to your brain. This is what's happening. And, if it continues on this pathway segment, you're going to have atrophy of the brain. There's going to be more caverns and shadows that are going to show that you're losing your brain cells and at a rapid rate. And if you like this, the prize is going to be worth the price. You want to be in a wheelchair and having somebody put on diapers and everything else by the time you're 45, 50, continue on this path. If you want to live a longer life, then here. You should maybe think about retiring in 2 years, 3 years. It's hard to say. That's why everybody's got to be accountable and responsible for themselves.
And finally, my man Mitch has a comment about Floyd Mayweather. A guy, really, guys, I don't want to talk about this guy anymore. I mean, he's done. Let's just forget him. It's time to forget Floyd Mayweather. But since it's an email, Mitch says, I want to sum up Floyd Mayweather. This is great. He says, I want to sum up Floyd Mayweather's career in one sentence, Billy C. And this is his sentence from Floyd. He says, I've beaten everyone I put in front of me. I've beaten everyone. I like that. I've beaten everyone I put in front of me. And you know what, Mitch? You're right. That is a great summary of Floyd Mayweather. That's great. But anyway, let's talk about some other news. Yesterday we were talking about the sanctioning bodies and how they really ruin the sport in a sense because of the mandatories and everything else. Really, they don't care about the sport. They only care about their sanctioning body and, of course, their fees. A great example of this was the IBF. 3 days after Terrence Crawford unified all four belts, first time in more than a decade. He unifies the 140-pound division. They order him to fight Sergey Lipinets. Now, Terrence Crawford, obviously a big name in the sport, looking for bigger fights. Being warned that he had to fight this guy instead of the sanctioning bodies all working together. If Terrence Crawford decided to stay in 140 pound, a lot of rumors are suggesting that he's going to move up to 147. He, rather than be stripped, vacated the IBF's version of the 140 pound title. It's not just the IBF, because the WBA, they did what they call elevated Terrence Crawford. Now, here is what the WBA and the WBC have a tendency to do when one of their fighters becomes a unified champion. They so-called elevate them to super champion, or in the WBC's case, diamond champion. And really what that is complete bullshit, because what happens is they become a super champion, but then they also could possibly become a mandatory challenger for the guy that becomes the regular champion. So the WBA made that move yesterday to elevate Terrence Crawford to their super champion, and now they're going to have two fighters fight each other for the newly vacated regular WBA junior welterweight title. This is the same sanctioning body that said that they want to eliminate all the BS. Who would want to get a championship belt and say, hey, listen, I am the regular old champion of this sanctioning body, and you're the super champion of this sanctioning body? I mean, it's ridiculous, Sal. I mean, we wonder about the value of these belts, and I think they devalue it. I think these sanctioning bodies should play nice, because there would certainly be more value in a fighter and the desire to see these fighters fight if they were unified champions. Your thoughts, please.
You know my thoughts. I mean, there was an old comedy movie in the 70s or 80s with Peter Falk and called The In-Laws. And when, he was a CIA agent.
Alan Arkin was the co-star, remember?
Alan Arkin,
right.
Great movie. I can laugh at it just thinking back. And, there was a Banana Republic type of figure like a Fidel Castro that had the mint bricks of our money and was trying to devalue our dollar by saturating the market with millions of dollars that would lower the supply and demand of our paper money. And conceptually it was a funny, intriguing movie. And but guess what? You want to analogize it? That's what's happened to the belt. I mean, there should be one world champion instead of 5 or 6 for each weight class. So they saturated like they would the dollars, and they're giving us all these belts. I don't know which way is up anymore. Interim champion here, intercontinental, this one here, this one national. You know, like I said, Billy, it's unfortunate, but I think every country should have their own national belt, like we had with the USBA or the NABF, and then have one world championship belt. Now, I don't know, it'll never happen, but can you imagine the pool of fights and the scrambling to be the top and to be ranked if you were to consolidate all these fighters that are already ranked and all these champions, if there was just one in the world or a champion and all the contenders that would be looking to climb to the top? I mean, you want to get boxing back on track, you got to look at what the fault is and where it's gone a little south. And I think the saturation of the belts, I think the saturation of all these international or worldwide sanctioning bodies have definitely diluted the value of the world championship belt.
Well, there's no doubt, but unfortunately, the sanctioning bodies who have their claws into their cash cows, which are the fighters, are never going to all of a sudden do what's right.
No.
The WBSS, the World Boxing Super Series, is ready to kick off. It's a week away, and the one sad thing about this is that there has not been any television deals announced to see these fights in the United States or the UK. There are some other places. The Super Channel out of Canada is going to be airing them. This is a great series for 2 weight classes that I believe need a shot in the arm, cruiserweight and the super middleweight, respectively. I mean, the super middleweight is kind of a limbo type of a weight class, I guess. We don't have any huge names in there yet, but maybe a series like this will help it. And the cruiserweight division, for all intent purposes, is the heavyweight division of yesteryear. I mean, 200-pound weight limit for the cruiserweights, actually 199.9, because 200 is officially a heavyweight. But I hope it works. I hope we get some U.S. television last minute. This is a Richard Schaefer deal with his new promotional company. So I'm looking forward to this, and we'll keep you guys posted on that. Speaking of keeping you posted, some other news. Antonio Margarito with the fists of concrete. Well, maybe. He's got a record of 40 wins, 8 losses, and 27 of his wins coming by knockout. He's 39 years old. He's fighting this weekend against Carson Jones, who's a pretty tough journeyman. Antonio Margarito not looking past, but it seems like it. Carson Jones wants to fight Miguel Cotto for a 3rd time. He said, and I quote, "I'm at my best level in years, and I'm in condition to fight 10 strong rounds. This fight is important for my plan to become a world champion again. I want to fight Miguel Cotto in a 3rd and final fight, and Carson Jones won't stop me." Cotto's looking for another fight. He said he was going to retire many years ago and continues to fight. There are rumors of or an interest in him fighting some other names. But Antonio Margarito, does Cotto want to fight this guy again? I don't know. But I think Margarito's just looking for any big name to get a payday. Some other news I wanted to throw out there. Manny Pacquiao, Jeff Horn rematch. There's some bumps in the road here with this rematch. Apparently, Jeff Horn and his team want this fight to take place this year, at the end of the year, sometime in November. And Manny Pacquiao, on the other hand, has not made a decision yet whether he wants to have this rematch this year or early next year. Now, Bob Arum has come on and said some of the reasons for that, questioning is his political requirements and what the schedule is from a political standpoint. Truthfully, the deal is this. Manny Pacquiao lost to Jeff Horn. Sal, you've gone on record to say several times that you feel Horn would beat him again and beat him even more decisively. I don't think so. I think it was a case of Manny Pacquiao not preparing like he should have. However, when is when enough? When do you say when? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. When do you say when? Manny Pacquiao, I'm sure, doesn't want to end his career on a loss, and I do believe he could beat Horn, but time is his biggest enemy, Sal. I mean, this is a guy at 38 years old who's been in some severe wars, who's been knocked out, has proven everything. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. When does this guy say it's over? And if he wants to hang in there, I know he's trying to get another fight with Floyd, but we don't want to see it. We don't ever want to see. I don't personally ever want to see Floyd Mayweather inside a ring again. I hope he just focuses on his promotional company. Manny Pacquiao, on the other hand, same thing. I mean, he's clearly diminished his skill set. Fight Jeff Horn, possibly get a win and walk away. I would think that he would want to do it sooner than later. What's your thoughts?
You know my thoughts. Manny Pacquiao made a big mistake. I mean, his whole purpose for getting the surgery, for coming back, his whole sole purpose at that point was to fight and have a rematch with Floyd Mayweather. It never took place, and now it doesn't even make sense for it to take place. So, you know what? He danced with the wrong opponents, and he did the thing. And I don't know. I think Manny. I like Manny. I respect Manny, and I think he could still have a lot of victories out there. But as you said, why? As I said, why? I mean, the guy has been to the mountain and back several times. He is a first-round Hall of Famer, and I think, what do you have to prove to yourself? And I know, from a fighter standpoint, I still love the fight. I still love the fight game. I would love to be fighting today. But then why? Again, is the prize worth the price? And what does he want to do with his life in the future? You can't just keep fighting and doing things. You got to look past it. And if he has the fire in the belly, take the fight with Jeff Horn. He's never going to get in the ring with Floyd Mayweather again. He should have done that. That was the game plan. And for whatever reason, he deviated from that game plan. But that should have been his whole sole purpose of coming back. Maybe have one tune-up fight, press the issue, throw whatever he had to do out there, and get Floyd in the ring with him. That was the whole game plan from the get-go. It deviated, it never took place, and is never going to take place now because no one's going to want it.
Well, he had won the title, so he had to fight Jeff Horn. But fire in the belly. I have a suggestion. Take some Tums. But the truth of the matter is Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather took. Listen, there's no. If anybody doubts this, they're mistaken. The only reason why Floyd Mayweather even fought Conor McGregor is because he knew that it was going to be an easy fight for him, and because Bob Bennett, the gutless, spineless piece of garbage from the Nevada State Athletic Commission, approved it as a real fight. Floyd gets to ride off into the sunset at 50-0. There is no way, even Floyd, and Floyd admitted himself that his skill set has diminished, and it certainly was evident last week. But there's no way Floyd is going to take any fight that poses even the minuscule risk for him of losing. And even though Manny Pacquiao is just as weathered as Floyd, even more, Floyd's not going to take a chance with him. So the fight is not going to happen. Manny Pacquiao, if he's hoping that he's going to get another fight with Floyd, forget about it. Manny Pacquiao should either hang him up or avenge his loss against Jeff Horn, because quite honestly, that's the only fight. I mean, you can't see either one of these guys, Manny Pacquiao or Floyd Mayweather, fighting a young gun. Errol Spence, Sean Porter, Kell Brook, Keith Thurman. None of these guys. They'll kill him, So, I mean, it is what it is. So I think Manny Pacquiao, just for history's sake, for his record, I do think that he should do the rematch with Horn and win, lose, or draw. That'll be his last fight. And he has a chance to go out on top as a champ and retire as a champ. That's something that very few fighters really have done in their careers. So we'll see what happens with that. Andre Ward. This guy is such a diva. I mean, listen, there's no doubt that Andre Ward is a talented fighter. There's no question about it. But he is no Floyd Mayweather, and I say that meaning he's Floyd Mayweather, although I wasn't a big fan of his, the guy could draw. I mean, you could say what you want about Floyd, whether you liked him or not. whether you think he's great, whether you think he's not. But one thing that everyone has to agree on, there's two things, in my opinion, that you have to agree on with Floyd Mayweather. Number one, he was always in shape. This was a guy that took his career seriously and was always in shape. You were never going to get a guy that was not 100% in Floyd Mayweather. I respect him for that. You're never going to get a guy that's not going to make weight, except for the Juan Manuel Marquez fight, in which he just refused to get on the scale. But, I respect him for that. All right? And then the other thing is, he's a draw. People went and bought his fights, whether they wanted to see him get knocked the F out or whether they wanted to see him win. It didn't matter to him or the people around him. He sold fights. Andre Ward can't say that. Did he look good in his last fight against Sergey Kovalev? Yes. Did he knock him out and win an exciting fight? Yes, he did. Did he beat up the bully? Yeah, he did. Was he one of the best fighters when he was in the Super 6? Yeah, he was. But you know what? Taking his talent level aside, Andre Ward can't draw flies to a garbage convention. He is just not, even though he's a great guy, personally, when you meet him, he's not a likable guy. He's not a guy that fans want to either like or hate. Floyd was. Manny is. These are the guys that are drawing. They have drawing power. Andre Ward doesn't. His HBO contract expired. We all are waiting for the day he kicks Rock Nation to the curb. He's done this before. He is not loyal by any stretch of the imagination. Now he's looking at other options. There's some rumors around that he's going to join Top Rank. He says no, but it kind of looked like he was, especially when they kicked Timothy Bradley to the curb and let him do the announcing, especially since ESPN just closed a big deal with Top Rank. So, you know what? I say this. Andre Ward, he needs another big fight. Who's he going to fight? I don't know. But the truth of the matter is this is a guy that needs a big fight to draw. Sergey Kovalev, he shut Kovalev up for all intent and purposes. Might have ended Kovalev's career because Kovalev doesn't have that fear factor anymore. Whenever Andre Ward knocks out, that's the end because he's like Floyd. But we'll have to wait. Terrell Gosh going to be the fight. Even though Lara claims it's going to be an exciting fight, he's yet to really be in. Jermell Charlo, undefeated in Erickson Lubin. Have been carefully moved C and D level, all of a sudden an A level fight. Too big of a saying that these fighters, step to a gallop up in one.
Well, if they do, it's their opportunity, it's their chance. Take the fighter for that long. He may have that skill set. He may have that, and he's a secret prize inside. Guess what? A big jump like that is going to be like, hey, I'm ready for it. I could do it. But I do agree. A more pragmatic way of bringing a fighter along is feeding him a steady diet of increasing his opposition on a regular basis, step by step, so he learns, he gets the experience, and then you reveal him to be a world-class, well-rounded fighter. But like I said, I can't down because there's been many times where they kept the fighter under wraps and they felt easy fight, winning formula for all, but this might be the
guys on this show today, so make sure you September in the history of boxing. 2000, Dingman knocks out Glenn Catley in the round to win the WBC super middleweight title place in South Africa. On this day in 1960, the vacant World Junior Welterweight Bill Lang in the sixth round obtained the World Heavyweight title that took place in Atlanta. 1983, George Foreman knocked out Jose Roman in the first round. And on this day, September 1st, 1923. Was born at how you pronounce knockouts. Was inducted. Yeah, it's MAHEGIA. MARCH. Ciao, baby.